It's up about 2,000 RPMs. Could even go faster. When you're using a skew, you can use it either side. When you bring it up, you bring it up, and then you just start. You lift the handle to get it to start cutting. And when you're cutting, you make sure you keep the wood in the middle to the lower third of the blade. What you don't want to do is have this tip catch that piece. And that's when you're doing this stuff, because that will make a spiral and a pretty ugly looking piece real fast. But if you're doing, you get it rubbing and then you just bring it up until it starts cutting. It's making a lot of noise because it's not totally round yet. Another thing you can do, if you want, there's a peeling cut. Peeling cuts are easiestly done if you have a flat skew, because you keep it completely on the tool rest as you bring it up. So this isn't scraping, so it's coming up to shear it. So you bring it up. And you get a nice shear cut. And if we stop it, you see you can get a pretty good finish on it even with a shear cut. And the scraping cut, the other cuts are pretty good. Now, if you want to go with if you're trying to do a bead.
Scraping cut, is that you're presenting the skew completely flat?
Not. No, this is no. It's not. I said scraping. It's not. It's a shear cut.
You said shear, but I'm just
If it's scraping cut, it would be just like a scraper. You'd come in. You would come in. Yeah, a scraping cut would be just like you're using a scraper, and you can do that too. So if I come in flat on it, that's a scraping cut. But a shearing cut is actually cutting more, so it should give you a better surface. Now, when it's the other great thing about a skew is for making V grooves. So the best way to do, and I've been watching the videos. You can come straight in, but what a lot of them say the better way is to come up and then just tilt it down. And then do the same thing if you want to make it bigger. You take away a little bit each time, so you can make your V groove bigger. Then you can make it deeper. So once you have your groove, then let's say you want to make it into a bead. If you're real good, you can use any part of the blade to cut the bead. If you're not so good, use this part, the short point. This is called the long point, and that's what you're using when you're making the V grooves. The short point works really much better when you're trying to roll something over. But again, you bring it up till you get your, and one of the keys is holding this thing down hard into the tool rest. And when you're actually turning on it, you're really doing the same thing. If it was a gouge, you're doing the same thing. As you start to turn it, you're going like this with the cutter, just like it was a gouge. So that's why, although Barbara doesn't like using the skew, if she ever practiced with it, she'd be really good real fast. So you just bring it up, and I didn't cut much, but like I say, it's not. Oh, and then, well, let's say I could just flatten it out a little more first. Now I'll make the V a little deeper. Now it's smoother, so I'm hoping that means it'll do a better job here. Anyway, if you're trying to cut a cove, I was watching somebody last night and he used a 1-inch skew and cut a tiny little cove. I am not so good at that. So I would go with a little bit smaller skew if I'm going to try to do a cove. So if I want to cut a cove in here, there's a catch. Another one. In this case, I was catching with the actual straight edge, not the tip, but if you don't hold the tool really solid, it's easy for it to grab a little bit and move on you. See, I'm actually too far away. I'd be much better off if I had the tool rest a little closer.
Steve, is your rest at center or a little above?
It really depends on a lot of times it's probably lower than it should be. But it has a lot to do with how you feel. So a lot of times you're cutting above, but and I was probably too low, but you want to be in a comfortable spot for your arm. So like yeah, so that's a nice height. So, I mean, those are basically what you're, like I say, it takes a lot of practice, which you can tell that I need a lot more. But here, come on, somebody come up and take a tool. You can start. This one is really nice because you can really, hold it into your hip. So I want to see everybody here. You're first.
Can you talk a minute about how you sharpen your cues?
Okay. Two ways. I have a special jig. I have the Tarmac sharpening system, and they have a jig that's actually just made for sharpening a skew. So it clamps on it, and it's made so you can flip it over. So if you didn't have that, you could just do it by hand on the wheel. But then the actual final sharpening, I used a stone. So I have a diamond stone that I would use first, and then I have a fine ceramic stone. I use a little oil, and you need a couple of shots on it. And this is probably already getting a little bit dull, but it's not too bad.
How about a CBN micro bevel on the end?
You could do a micro bevel too. Yeah, and okay, and that's a good point you bring about the bevels too. Depending on how hard the wood is and how good you are, this angle is typically about 20 degrees, but the included angle can be anywhere from 25 to 40, and at 25, it's you got to be a little better, let's say. Depends on what kind of wood you're turning, but so you get to 35. 35 seems to be like a pretty nice angle for a lot of stuff. I've got a variety of different ones, and I just play with them and try them. Okay, and then if you're trying to, if you're working on something small, that's why I've got a little round one, so that if you got a little spot you're getting into, I would use this more if I was doing like a spindle. I mean like a finial, that's the whole thing's this big. And I've got some other wood that we can try, but I want to just, I think just, so get this where it feels good for you. You can start on this stuff or start here, wherever you want, and put it where it feels good for
Can
you.
you sharpen this on a regular wheel and have it make it concave?
Yeah, it was. Matter of fact, I did. You see this part right here? That's what that is.
Okay.
I was doing that this morning.
Or on the CBN wheel that's got a side, you could do it on that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do it lots of ways, and you basically you got to just you could make a jig to do it on that side part, but you go from one side to the other, so you keep the point in the middle. So you feel what you want to have that locked into so you might.
Yeah, the height is the thing. Should this be higher or lower? Or should it be in the middle? Where are you going to be cutting?
With when you're using them, it can be a lot of times you're cutting above.
Above.
Yeah, so cutting from here is not going to be a problem. So you're about my size, so this would probably be fine. But you could also drop it down a little if you felt better having it down here.
I'll try it. Anything off here? Oh, this is about. Wait a minute.
I didn't check it.
Just make sure it doesn't fly off if I get a catch.
Take out the first row.
Now make sure you're rubbing the bevel first before you start.
Now, do you want to keep this flat?
No. You want to be like that. So. Now,
Try this side.
okay, now cut a bead first.
Cut a bead?
Not that way. No, a bead. Start like that. Yep. Now the one key on that is try to keep the blade. You go back and forth like this. Keep the blade straight. If you go like that, if you're good, you can do that. But it might also become a screw. So go ahead and bring the handle up as you're doing that. So as you bring the handle up, it'll dig in more. Oh yeah, you're doing great. All right. So now just go ahead and just bead that a little bit. Just a little. You were doing that already, so you just. All right. Excellent. Excellent. I think you were practicing with that skew of yours that you got the other couple months ago.